When my wife stepped away from our table at the Veterans Appreciation Banquet to answer what she said was an urgent phone call, something happened that turned my whole world upside down. An older man sitting at the next table leaned toward me. He did not smile. He did not introduce himself. He just slid a thick envelope across the white tablecloth and whispered, "Do not go home tonight, Michael. Look at page 7. Then he stood up and disappeared into the crowd before I could even ask who he was. I just sat there. The envelope felt hot in my hand, like it was burning through my skin. My wife, Amanda, had been gone less than 30 seconds. Around me, the ballroom buzzed with laughter and conversation. Veterans in dress uniforms shook hands with donors in tuxedos and evening gowns. Glasses clinked. A band played soft music near the stage. But in that moment, I felt completely alone. My hands were shaking as I looked down at the envelope. It was a plain manila envelope, nothing special about it. But my full name was typed neatly across the front. Michael Andrew Carter. Not Mike. Not Mickey. My full legal name. That was when I knew something was very wrong. Amanda came back about 5 minutes later, smiling the way she always did, bright and apologetic. "Sorry, sweetheart," she said. "That was the event coordinator. There is a problem with the sound system for your speech. They are working on it." She squeezed my shoulder. "Nothing to worry about." We had been married 18 months. After my first wife, Susan, passed away 3 years ago from cancer, I never thought I would open my heart again. I was sure that part of my life was over. Then Amanda walked into the Veterans Affairs Hospital, where I volunteer twice a week. She was warm, attentive, asking questions about programs for families who lost loved ones in service. She said she wanted to help. We ended up talking over coffee in the hospital cafeteria. I told her about my time in Vietnam. I told her about Susan. I told her about my son, Kevin, who served in Afghanistan. She listened like every word mattered, like she understood what it meant to carry those memories. 6 months later, we were married in a small ceremony at a local chapel. Kevin could not make it. He was stationed overseas at the time. Amanda said we should not wait. "Life is too short," she told me. We both waited long enough to be happy. Now, sitting at this charity dinner that she had organized herself, I wondered if I had ever really known her. "Michael," she said softly, "are you all right? You look pale." "Just tired," I answered. "Long day at the hospital." "Well, your speech is in 20 minutes. Why do you not go splash some water on your face? I will guard your plate." She laughed, that musical laugh I had fallen in love with. "Cannot have anyone stealing your salmon." I stood up and slipped the envelope inside my jacket. "I will be right back." The men's room was empty, thank God. I locked myself in a stall and tore open the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside were photocopies of documents, bank statements, property deeds, legal forms. All of them had my signature, or what looked exactly like my signature. The first document showed a transfer of $200,000 from my personal account to something called the Valor Harbor Foundation. I had never heard of it. The next document transferred my house into a trust. Another page listed me as a board member of the Valor Harbor Foundation, with Amanda as executive director. Then I turned to page 7. My blood ran cold. It was a power of attorney document giving Amanda complete control over all my assets if I were declared mentally incompetent. Attached to it was a psychiatric evaluation from Dr. Stephen Bennett. It stated that I showed early signs of dementia and confusion, likely connected to service-related post-traumatic stress disorder. The evaluation was dated 2 weeks ago. I had never met Dr. Stephen Bennett. I had never had any psychiatric evaluation. But there was my signature at the bottom, right above a notary seal. I had to grab the stall wall to steady myself. My knees felt weak. This had to be a mistake. Amanda would not do this. We were married. We loved each other. She held me when I had nightmares. She sat with me when I talked about Susan. She supported my volunteer work with younger veterans. Had that all been fake? My phone vibrated in my pocket. A message from Amanda. "Everything okay? People are asking about you." I forced myself to breathe. "Think, Michael. You are 70 years old. You led men under fire. You survived Vietnam. You survived cancer scares. You buried the love of your life and kept going. You can handle this." But this felt different. Enemy fire comes from in front of you. This was coming from inside my own home. From the woman who slept beside me every night. I splashed water on my face and looked at myself in the mirror. My hair was gray. My face was lined and weathered. But my eyes were clear. 3 months ago, My doctor gave me a clean bill of health. No dementia. No confusion. He said I was sharper than most men half my age. So why did these papers say otherwise? I went back into the ballroom, the envelope tucked inside my jacket. Amanda was standing by our table, talking to a couple. Her hand rested on the back of my empty chair. When she saw me, her face lit up with that same smile I had trusted without question. "There you are, Michael," she said. "This is Dr. Bennett and his wife, Ashley. Stephen has been doing wonderful work with our foundation." Dr. Bennett stood and reached out his hand. He looked younger than I expected, maybe around 50. His silver hair was perfectly styled. His suit probably cost more than my first car. "Mr. Carter," he said smoothly, "it is an honor. Amanda speaks very highly of you." I shook his hand. I made my grip firm enough that he shifted his weight just a little. "That is interesting, doctor," I said calmly, "because I do not remember ever meeting you. And yet somehow I have medical records with your name on them." The air around the table turned cold. Amanda's smile slipped for half a second before tightening again. "Michael, what are you talking about?" "I am talking about a psychiatric evaluation I never had," I said quietly. "For a condition I do not have. Signed by a doctor I have never met." Dr. Bennett's wife suddenly said she needed to check on something and disappeared into the crowd. The doctor stayed, but his friendly tone faded. "Mr. Carter, perhaps we should discuss this privately." "I think we are finished here, Stephen," Amanda said quickly. He gave her a look, then nodded and walked away. Amanda turned back to me. For the first time since I had known her, I did not see love in her eyes. I saw calculation. "Where did you get those documents?" she asked, still smiling for anyone watching. "Does it matter?" "Yes," she whispered, leaning closer. Her smile never moved, but her voice turned to ice. "It matters very much, Michael. Whoever gave those to you just made a very serious mistake." "The only mistake," I said, "was thinking I would not notice you trying to take everything I own." "Take?" She gave a soft laugh. "Michael, you signed those papers yourself. You just do not remember. That is the tragedy of your condition. The good days fool you into thinking you are fine, but the confusion always returns. Dr. Bennett has been treating you for months." "I have never stepped foot in his office." "Yes, you have. 3 times. She patted my hand. That gesture used to comfort me. Now it felt like a threat. "It is getting worse," she said gently. "That is why we need the power of attorney. To protect you. To make sure you are cared for. When you have me declared incompetent and lock me away." Her expression stayed steady, but something flickered in her eyes. "Let us not create a scene," she said. "You have a speech to give. All these people are counting on you." I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly against the floor. "I am not giving any speech," I said. "And I am not going home with you tonight. Michael, we are not done. We are now. Whatever this is, whatever you planned, it is over." I walked away from the table. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. Behind me, I heard Amanda talking to the nearby guests. "He is not feeling well," she said. "You know how it is. Veteran issues. He is so brave, but it takes a toll." I pushed through the ballroom doors and into the quiet hotel hallway. My legs felt weak. Where could I go? Not home. The old man had warned me. Kevin was overseas. Most of my close friends were inside that ballroom. Could I call the police? What would I even say? My wife forged documents and is pretending I am losing my mind. "Mr. Carter." I spun around. The elderly man from the dining room stepped out of a shadowed alcove. Up close, he looked older than I first thought, maybe 80. He carried himself like a career military man. That kind of posture never really leaves you. He still wore his name tag. "William Harrison, Captain, United States Navy." "Who are you?" I asked. "Someone who understands exactly what you are facing," he said quietly. He glanced toward the ballroom doors. "We do not have much time." "Gregory Walsh," Captain William Harrison continued, his voice low and steady, "figured out what she was doing before she could finish the process. He confronted her, threatened to go to the authorities." I felt my stomach tighten. "What happened to him?" I asked. "He died in what was ruled a single-vehicle accident," Williams said. "His car went off a rural highway late at night. No witnesses. The police report said he must have fallen asleep at the wheel." "And you do not believe that?" William held my gaze. "Gregory did not drink. He did not drive at night because his vision was not great after sunset. And the day before he died, he told his sister he was meeting with a federal agent." Rain tapped against the diner window beside us. The neon sign outside flickered red and blue across William's face. They ruled it an accident, he went on. Case closed. But I have seen enough in my life to recognize when something smells wrong. I leaned back in the booth, my mind racing. My wife. My home. My life. All of it felt like it had turned into a battlefield. Only this time I did not know where the landmines were buried. You are asking me to spy on my own wife? I said. I am asking you to survive, William replied, and to help save 12 other men who cannot save themselves. The waitress came by and refilled our coffee cups. Neither of us touched the mugs. If I go back home, I said slowly, she will try to convince me none of this is real. She will, he said. She will cry. She will say you embarrassed her tonight. She will tell you that you had a memory lapse. She may even suggest seeing Dr. Bennett immediately to adjust your medication. I am not on any medication. She will say you are, he answered calmly. And she will produce records that say you are. I rubbed my face with both hands. For a moment, I felt every one of my 70 years. What if she has already filed the power of attorney? I asked. I checked court records this afternoon, William said. It has not been filed yet. That means she still needs something from you. Probably a final signature under controlled circumstances. That dinner tonight was likely the setup. I thought about the salmon sitting on my plate. About Amanda insisting on that particular hotel. About Dr. Bennett being there, ready. You think they were going to drug me? That would be my guess, he said. A mild sedative. Enough to make you appear confused during your speech. In front of witnesses. And then what? Dr. Bennett would step in. Publicly express concern. Recommend immediate evaluation. Amanda would insist she just wants what is best for you. By morning, you would be admitted to their facility. Valor Harbor, I said quietly. He nodded. Once inside, they control the narrative. They isolate you. They limit visitors. They medicate you. After a few weeks, no one questions it anymore. I stared at the tabletop. My reflection looked back at me in the dark coffee. I trusted her, I said. I know, he answered. There was no pity in his voice. Just understanding. So what is the plan? I asked finally. You go home tomorrow, William said. Not tonight. Stay somewhere safe. A motel. Pay cash. Turn off your regular phone. Use the burner I gave you. And then, you act normal. You apologize for walking out. You tell her you were overwhelmed. You make her believe she still has control. The idea made my skin crawl. I have to pretend, I said. Yes. And while I pretend, I get into her computer. She keeps a digital ledger, William said. Every transaction, every victim, amounts transferred, dates of commitment to the facility. She believes no one would ever think to look. You are sure it is on the computer at my house? Eleanor confirmed she has seen Patricia updating files there. Late nights. Detailed spreadsheets. I nodded slowly. I am not much of a computer expert. You do not have to be. I will walk you through it step by step. We copy everything onto an external drive. Then we take it to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And if she catches me? William's eyes hardened. Then you leave immediately. Do not confront her. Do not argue. Just get out. Call me. I thought about Kevin. About the pride I felt when he put on his uniform. About the men I had led decades ago who trusted me to make the right call under pressure. Fear is natural, I reminded myself. It is what you do with it that matters. How soon? I asked. She will try to regain control quickly, William said. Within 48 hours. That is your window. I took a deep breath. All right, I said. I will do it. He studied me for a long moment, as if measuring my resolve. You understand, he said quietly. This may cost you your marriage. I let out a bitter laugh. I think that is already gone. He nodded once. Then we moved carefully. No heroics. No speeches. Just evidence. The diner door opened, and a gust of cold air swept inside. I glanced over instinctively, half expecting to see Amanda standing there. It was just a couple of college kids, laughing, shaking rain off their jackets. Still, my pulse would not slow down. One more thing, William said. What is that? If she suspects you know the truth, she will not hesitate. These people have built a business out of destroying lives. Do not underestimate her. I will not, I said. I meant it. I finished my coffee and stood up. Where will you be? I asked. Close, he said. Watching. Waiting. We walked out separately. I waited 5 minutes before leaving the booth, just like he suggested. Outside, the rain had picked up. As I walked toward my car 3 blocks away, I realized something that made my chest tighten. The battlefield had changed. This time, I was not fighting for a country. I was fighting for my own name, my own mind, my own freedom. And if I lost, I would disappear into a locked room somewhere, drugged and forgotten. I gripped the burner phone in my pocket. Not this time. Not without a fight. He had a fatal car crash 3 days later. Captain William Harrison had told me back at the diner. You think she killed him? I had asked. I think she is capable of protecting her operation, he said. Now, standing in my own house with Amanda blocking the doorway and 2 cars pulling into my driveway, I knew exactly what he meant. Back at the diner, William had warned me. If you are going to do this, he said, you have to be smart. Play along. Let her believe you bought the story. Get the evidence fast. For a moment that night, I had thought about just running, getting in my car and driving until the gas tank ran dry, finding some small town where Amanda could not touch me. But then I remembered the 12 men. Frank Castellano, Gregory Walsh, all the others whose names were sitting in that ledger like entries in a butcher's book. Widowers, veterans, men who had already given enough. I will do it, I told William. Tell me what I need to know. We spent the next hour going over every detail. Amanda's computer was in her home office, a room she kept locked. I knew where she hid the key, inside a hollowed-out history book on the 3rd shelf. The financial ledger was encrypted, but William had the password. He said he got it by watching her hands through Eleanor Vance's office window during one of their meetings. Eleanor had positioned herself just right. I would need to copy the entire ledger to a universal serial bus drive, then grab any related financial files I could find. One more thing, William said as we got ready to leave the diner. When you go home, she will be in damage control mode. She may have Dr. Bennett there. They will try to convince you that you imagined the confrontation, that you had an episode. What do I do? Do not argue too much. Let them think they are winning. And if she suspects I am faking? She might, he said. But she believes her targets are too old, too confused, too grateful to fight back. Use her arrogance. So I drove home that night, rehearsing my lines. My house looked exactly the same as when I left. Warm lights glowing through the windows. Amanda's car parked beside mine. But now it felt like a trap. She opened the door before I could even reach for the handle. Her eyes were red, like she had been crying. Michael, thank God, she said. I have been so worried. I called Kevin, but he has not called back yet. And Dr. Bennett said, I am sorry, I interrupted. The words tasted like dust in my mouth. I do not know what happened tonight. I got confused. Paranoid. I guess the pressure of the speech got to me. She pulled me into a hug. I forced myself not to stiffen. It is okay, she whispered. This is what Dr. Bennett warned us about. The confusion episodes. But we will get through it together. Dr. Bennett was in my living room, still wearing the same suit from the dinner. Michael, he said gently, I am glad you came home. Amanda was very concerned. Why do we not sit down and talk about what you are feeling? They worked on me for 2 full hours. Soft voices, calm expressions, carefully layered lies. They talked about treatments I supposedly received, medications I supposedly took. They showed me copies of forms with my signature, even photographs of me sitting in what they claimed was Dr. Bennett's office. Amanda held my hand and cried about how frightening it was to watch me decline. I played the part. Confused old man, grateful for help, embarrassed for causing a scene. Inside, I was burning. Dr. Bennett suggested immediate observation at Valor Harbor. I refused just firmly enough to make it believable, saying I wanted to sleep in my own bed. They backed off. For now, Amanda tucked me in like I was a child. She kissed my forehead. Everything will be all right, she whispered. I waited until 3 in the morning. The house was silent. Amanda had started sleeping in the guest room a few weeks earlier, claiming her insomnia kept me awake. Now I understood. It gave her freedom to move around at night without me noticing. I slipped out of bed and crept downstairs. The key was exactly where I remembered, inside the hollowed book. Her office door opened without a sound. The computer was in sleep mode, not shut down. I typed in the password William gave me. It worked. The ledger was right there on the desktop. A spreadsheet. 12 names. Dates. Amounts. Frank Castellano, $340,000. Gregory Walsh, $280,000. James Patterson, $420,000. Row after row. At the bottom, Michael Andrew Carter, $1,100,000. In progress. My stomach twisted. I plugged in the universal serial bus drive and started copying everything. The progress bar moved painfully slow. Every creak in the house made my heart jump into my throat. If Amanda caught me. Michael. I spun around. She stood in the doorway wearing a robe, her hair loose over her shoulders. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then her eyes shifted to the computer screen. "Oh, Michael," she said softly. "Why could you not just let yourself be taken care of? Was any of it real?" I asked. "Did you ever care about me?" She stepped inside. I noticed the phone in her hand. "Does it matter?" she said. "You were a means to an end. You all are. Lonely old men with more money than sense, holding on to dead wives and war stories. You practically line up to be saved. Susan was not just a memory. She is dead," Amanda snapped. "And you would have wasted all that money on what? A slow decline in some government facility? At least my way the money goes somewhere useful. The foundation does real work. Valor Harbor is a state-of-the-art center. The residents are cared for. Frank Castellano died there." Something flickered across her face. Frank had heart problems. These things happen. And Gregory Walsh. I do not know what you are talking about. But her grip tightened on the phone. The file finished copying. I pulled out the universal serial bus drive and held it up. "This is over," I said. "I am taking this to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. You and Bennett and everyone else involved." She laughed. "And tell them what? That your wife, who holds power of attorney because of your documented dementia, stole from you? You are a 70-year-old man who had a public breakdown tonight. Dr. Bennett has medical records. I have witnesses. You are playing right into the story. Then why are you trying to stop me?" Her smile vanished. "Because I hoped we could resolve this quietly." She lifted her phone slightly. "I have 2 men outside. They will take you to Valor Harbor tonight. By morning, you will be legally committed. And that little drive in your hand, it will be described as further proof of your delusions. William Harrison will testify," I said before I could stop myself. The change in her face was immediate. "What did you say?" "Frank's brother. He has been investigating you for 2 years. He is not alone. Families. A notary who has been documenting everything." For a long moment, she just stared at me. Then she dialed. "We have a problem," she said into the phone. "Carter knows about Harrison." "Yes, I'm sure. Move now. Get Bennett. Get the team. We are taking him to the facility tonight. And remove everything." She ended the call and looked at me almost sadly. "I actually liked you," she said. "You reminded me of my father. But business is business. Your father must be proud." "My father died broke," she said flatly. "Medical bills drained my mother dry. I learned something from that. Being honorable makes you prey. Better to be the predator." Headlights swept across the front windows. Car doors slammed outside. I had minutes. Maybe less. The universal serial bus drive was in my pocket. If they searched me, they would find it. "Michael," she said, stepping closer. "Do not make this harder than it has to be. Come quietly, and you will be comfortable at Valor Harbor. And if I do not?" She looked at me with cold eyes. "Accidents happen. Old men fall down the stairs," Amanda said softly. "They hit their heads. Such a tragedy." I backed toward the office window. We were on the 2nd floor, but there was a wooden trellis running down the side of the house. In my 20s, I had climbed enemy positions under gunfire in a jungle halfway across the world. Now, at 70 years old, I was about to climb down my own house to escape my wife. "You will not get away with this," I said. "I already have," she replied calmly. 17 times. I heard the front door explode inward downstairs. Heavy boots pounded up the staircase. Amanda smiled. "It is over, Michael. Accept it." Instead, I grabbed her laptop off the desk and hurled it through the window. Glass shattered outward into the night. A car alarm somewhere nearby began screaming. Amanda yelled and lunged for me, but I was already climbing through the broken frame. My hands tore open on the jagged glass as I grabbed the trellis. Arthritis burned in my knees. My shoulder screamed, but fear is one powerful motivator. I started climbing down. Halfway to the ground, the trellis began to pull loose from the siding. Wood cracked. Screws popped free. For 1/6 second, I felt myself falling. The concrete patio rushed up at me. I hit hard, but instinct kicked in. I rolled the way they taught us in parachute training decades ago. Something crunched in my shoulder, but I did not stop. I got up and ran. Behind me, men shouted. Flashlights cut across the lawn. I had parked my car 3 blocks away, just like William told me. Never leave in the same vehicle you come home in. By the time I reached it, I was gasping for air. Blood ran down my hands. My shoulder throbbed with every heartbeat. I fumbled the keys, started the engine, and drove. The burner phone rang. "Michael," William's voice said. I heard alarms. "What happened?" "She knows," I said. "She knows everything. Bennett is coming. They are destroying evidence." I barely got out. "Where are you?" "Driving. I do not even know." "Listen to me," he said. "I am sending you an address. It is a safe apartment. Go there. You will be protected. And Michael, did you get the ledger?" I patted my pocket. The Universal serial bus drive was still there. "Yes," I said. "Then we have her," he replied. That is what the Federal Bureau of Investigation needed. They have been watching for months, but they could not move without hard proof. With that ledger in your statement, they can get warrants, freeze accounts, shut down the facility. He paused. Frank would be proud. I swallowed hard. I drove to the address he sent. It was a small apartment above a hardware store in a building William owned. Inside, there was a first aid kit, clean clothes, and a folding cot. I washed the blood off my hands, wrapped them tight, bound my shoulder as best I could. Then I lay down and stared at the ceiling while the adrenaline drained from my body. 3 hours later, just after sunrise, federal agents raided Valor Harbor. Amanda was arrested at my house along with Dr. Bennett and 6 others involved in the scheme. The residents of the facility were transferred to legitimate care centers. Their assets were frozen. Families were notified. When investigators dug deeper, they found not 12 victims, 17. 5 more men who had died at Valor Harbor under what were labeled natural causes. Over 8 years, Amanda and her partners had stolen more than $6 million. The trial took place 6 months later. I testified for 3 full days. I walked the court through everything. The forged documents, the fake psychiatric evaluations, Amanda's confession in her office, the ledger from the Universal serial bus drive. Eleanor Vance testified about the documents she notarized. Families spoke about being shut out. Forensic accountants explained how the money moved through shell accounts and fake charities. Amanda's defense tried to paint me as mentally unstable. They argued that my testimony could not be trusted. But my doctors testified that my cognitive health was strong, that I showed no signs of dementia. Kevin flew home from overseas to sit behind me in the courtroom. William sat there every day, silent and steady. The jury did not take long. Amanda was convicted on 43 counts of fraud, conspiracy, and elder abuse. Dr. Bennett received 25 years in federal prison. Amanda received life without the possibility of parole. Valor Harbor was shut down. The building was sold. The proceeds were distributed to the victims and their families. I got my money back. I got my house back. I got my life back. But there are things you cannot recover. I had loved that woman. I had trusted her. I had pictured growing old beside her. That kind of betrayal does not fade. It settles into your bones like an ache that flares up on cold mornings. William and I still meet every Tuesday at Mulligan's Diner. We sit in the same booth. We talk about Frank, about the other men, about the warning signs we now know to watch for. We started a real foundation, one that teaches older veterans how to recognize financial predators. We help families ask the right questions before it is too late. Kevin visits whenever he can. He checks on me, makes sure I am steady. Sometimes people ask me why I did not just run that night, why I did not disappear instead of risking everything to get proof. The answer is simple. I spent my 20s fighting for men I had never met in a jungle far from home. I was not about to stop fighting at 70, especially when the enemy was sleeping in my own bed. Amanda counted on her victims being too old, too trusting, too ashamed to fight back. She was wrong. The truth is, veterans never stop being soldiers. We just choose different battles. 6 months after the trial, William and I stood at Frank Castellano's grave. He put a hand on my shoulder. He would have liked you, he said. He would have said you had grit. I just did what anyone should do, I told him. He shook his head. Most people freeze when someone they love betrays them. They cling to the lie because the truth hurts too much. You faced it and fought back. I looked down at the headstone. Beloved brother. Devoted father. Veteran. He should have survived. I am sorry I could not save him, I said. You saved 17 others, William answered. And you made sure she can never hurt anyone again. That is Frank's legacy now. We stood there as the sun set, long shadows stretching across the cemetery. My shoulder still aches where I landed that night. A permanent reminder. But I am alive. I am free. And somewhere in a prison cell, Amanda is learning that sometimes predators pick the wrong target. On my way home that evening, I passed the old Valor Harbor building. It was being renovated into affordable housing for veterans. The new sign out front read, Castellano House, in honor of Frank. Sometimes justice takes time. Sometimes it starts with a stranger sliding an envelope across a table. Now, when older veterans call me because something feels off, I tell them the truth. You are not crazy. You are not confused. And you are not alone. If something feels wrong, trust your gut. Write everything down. Tell someone you trust. Do not let shame silence you. Predators depend on silence. They depend on pride. They depend on fear. Do not give them that. I learned that lesson at 70 years old. Every Tuesday at Mulligan's, the coffee is hot. The bill is split evenly. And that back booth stays open, just in case another man needs a warning and the courage to act on it. Because predators never really stop hunting. But neither do we. Some battles are fought with rifles. Some are fought with evidence. This one we fought with the truth. And I learned something important. Truth is the strongest weapon I have ever carried.